Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. And in this week's episode, we're going to be doing something just a little bit different. I wanted to take some time to talk to you guys about, moving here, from another state. I know that can always be, a really stressful thing. But the good thing is that I've helped a ton of people do that. So today I wanted to give you guys kind of some advice, some tips, some suggestions, just things that I've learned along the way. So the game plan for today is we're going to be talking about building relationships with a couple locals. We're going to be talking about suggestions on how to tour different towns and just kind of some tips along the way. We're going to be talking about some fun stuff that you can do with your family while you're here. And then lastly, I want to share with you guys a couple different ways that we can set up showings to help you out, because I know you're going to be hundreds of miles away more than likely. And so we need to have a good game plan for, what that looks like whenever it does come time for you to actually start viewing homes, making offers, and actually making this, move to Tennessee successful. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about the first thing, which is going to be building relationships with some locals. Now, the people that I'm talking about building relationships are really going to be a realtor, a local realtor, and a local lender. And I know you may be telling yourself, listen, I'm 6 months out, I'm a year out, I'm 2 years out. I get it, but look, if you have got to the point to where you're really considering moving to an area, I do think you should reach out to those lenders, to those realtors. And that doesn't mean you need to have the lender run your credit or anything like that, but just, having, someone there to kind of give you some tips and suggestions, especially a realtor, I've actually built like itineraries for, my clients on like different places to go eat lunch, where to go hang out, then where to go have dinner, what to do, the next morning. So having someone who can do that for you is really going to be helpful. And it doesn't matter what your time frame is, because I would much rather capture, a client in the very beginning versus, have someone that calls me and says, hey, I'm 2 months out. Like, yeah, obviously that's great. It's a quick sell, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, I want to be able to service you to the best of my abilities. And any good realtor is going to feel the same way. So if that means that we have to, follow up and talk and figure things out for a year, that's perfectly fine, and that's really good for you too, because by the time you buy something, you're going to have so much knowledge of the area, and you're just going to feel so much more comfortable doing that. And that's what I really like. Okay, so build those relationships. Again, the lender is a good one to talk to. Now, if you're paying cash, obviously you're not going to have a lender. But also if you're getting into any hobbies, if you want to be a part of any churches, if you want to be involved in any schools or anything like that, reach out to those people as well, and just start a conversation. Make sure you jive with them. See if there's anything you can do to help. And again, just having a little bit of local knowledge will really, really help. Now, one more thing you can do to get a little bit of local knowledge is you can actually go on some of the Facebook groups. Like, I live in Maryville, which is part of Blount County. So we have Blount County Speaks Out, we have Maryville Matters. There's a freaking handful of Facebook groups all over East Tennessee for each specific area. So if you find an area that you are interested in, it's not a bad idea to go and check out that Facebook page and see kind of what people are saying. You get, again, some more local knowledge. Now, do keep in mind, most people just gripe all the time online. So, don't pay any attention to that. Just weed through, that and find the stuff that you're interested in. But that's a great source for you. Okay, and then moving along, the next thing I want to talk to you about is sort of how my clients have structured their days that seem to be the most successful. I am a big advocate for, picking out like a plan A, plan B, plan C town. Talk with your realtor, look online, do your research, figure out, what your 1, 2, 3, top favorite towns are so far, so that whenever you do visit, we can, kind of set some things up. And so one of those things that I like to set up is I would like to talk with my clients, a couple days before they're going to visit. And what we do usually is we will pick out like a handful of listings that they find interesting. And this doesn't matter if it's closed recently, if it's under contract, or if it's it's actually active, because we're not actually interested in just that specific house, touring it. At this point, you're probably too far out to make an offer anyways. But what I'm saying is, what's really nice is to pick out different listings in different neighborhoods and just kind of drive around to the different neighborhoods, because what that does is it gives you a good layout of the land. You get to see each neighborhood, and you get to see the neighborhoods in between them and kind of what's around, right? So driving through neighborhoods is just really beneficial, because it really, like I said, just gives you that layout of the land that you can't get from looking, on the internet or just talking to somebody. Another thing that I think is really good for you to do as well is figure out like where the most shopping is in that town. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you've probably seen me talk about this. There's a lot of like what I call one street towns, where you've got one, main run, and then all your shopping or most of your shopping is right off of that main road. There's a lot of towns like that. They're not all that way, but there's a lot. And so figure out where that pocket of shopping is, and just go run through town. Maybe grab lunch at a local spot. Talk with your real estate agent and your lender and see what they recommend. Maybe you'll find some, cool little local spot to go have lunch. And again, you can, talk to some locals and just kind of see how that town is and see if that's sort of your vibe. Okay, and now this is the part where so many people, I feel like, get caught up in like just zipping around all these little towns that by the end of the trip, their brains just mashed potatoes, everything merges together, and you don't even really remember it. So I think that something that's really important to do while you're here is get out, take a day and just have fun, treat it like a vacation. And hopefully you're already planning to do that. But I want to give you maybe just a few things that you and your family can go check out while you're here, okay? And now, if you know anything about the Great Smoky Mountains, you've heard of Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, Dollywood, Anakista, Splash Country, all of the crazy tourism stuff. Now that is a cool thing to do with your family, and that's fun. It's nice because it is, right in your backyard if you end up moving to East Tennessee. But I'm not going to spend any time talking about that other than what we're talking about now, because, that's really kind of more of the touristy side. I want to talk more like local stuff that you can do while you're here. And so let's kind of dive into a few of those things. So first off, I think something that would be really fun, really cool to do with your family is drive up to Townsend and go do the Cades Cove Loop, or go do a hike up in the Smokies, or go splash around the river. Just see kind of what that whole national park side is like. Now keep in mind, you do have to get a parking tag. You can find those at the Townsend Visitor Center. You can get like a day pass or a week pass or even a yearly pass, depending on how often you want to go. But if you go up there, you can do, like I said, the Cades Cove Loop. The Cades Cove Loop is beautiful. It's probably one of the most beautiful places on the earth. It's cool. You're going to see, probably a lot of wildlife. Like I said, you are going to see some really pretty views. You're going to see some old schoolhouses, some old mills, and then just some old houses. There's hiking trails you can go on. So, you can do like the Abrams Falls hike, or, some of the other ones up there. There's a whole bunch of them. And there's little visitor centers around too that you can go in and kind of get some, some suggestions, recommendations. I'm sure some people, want to do like the real crazy hike. Some people want to do a real easy hike. So just pop in and talk to someone. They'll give you some good advice on it. But I definitely think that the Cades Cove, if you haven't been there, somewhere that you should check out. And then going back into Townsend, a couple things you can do there. One, they have really cool restaurants. There's like a really cool, Flats and Taps place. There's a cool barbecue spot. There's Dancing Bear, which is really nice. Trailhead's a good restaurant. There's a bunch of cool little places you can eat and have lunch or dinner, whatever time of day it is there. And then also you could go somewhere like the River Rat, where you could rent a tube and go tubing down the little river. That's especially fun in the summertime when it's really hot here. That river water feels great. And they even have like a little shuttle service, so you don't have to do anything but just drive there. You go in right at their shop, go down the river, and like I said, they pick you up. So that's a really fun, day trip to do. Now, something else that you can do if you're not real outdoorsy and that really isn't doing anything for you, something cool you could do is you could go to downtown Knoxville and check out like Market Square. Market Square is really like the most like city-like thing that we have around here. And it's really cool because you're gonna have a ton of really good restaurants. You've got a lot of shopping, coffee places, breweries, movie theaters. I mean, just a whole bunch of stuff out there. It is a really cool little spot. Now, parking can be kind of tricky, but if you look on a map here, I'll show you, like right next to Market Square, there's actually a parking garage. And you can park there and walk down. And once you park, you're fine. You can pretty much walk everywhere you want to go. But that's a really cool place. They do lots of events there too. Like they'll have like art festivals. They have the chalk walk. My wife and I have done the New Year's Eve ball drop a couple times. So yeah, that's a really neat place to go and just kind of get that city feel. You don't really get that many places in Knoxville, that like downtown feel. So I think that's really cool for people, like I said, who are more into that side of things versus the outdoor side. So Market Square is a great place to go check out. Now, something else that's really cool is you could go up to Royal Blue. Royal Blue is on the North Cumberland WMA, and you guys, if you've watched some of my other videos, you may have heard me talk about it. But this place is really cool, and the cool thing about it is that you can, if you're someone who does like that outdoorsy stuff, you like the four-wheelers, the ATVs, the side-by-sides, you can actually rent side-by-sides there for the day and go check out their trails and stuff. I mean, that'd be a really fun trip for you and your family. Get you side-by-side, go get a little muddy, enjoy the East Tennessee, hills and hollers, right? And then another cool thing you could do, and this is, especially if it's, summertime or if the weather's at least nice, is, go to a marina and rent a pontoon boat, go hang out on the lake, have dinner, or lunch at the marina, or, pack yourself, some lunch. That's always such a fun time, just to go out there, get a little sun, let the kids play around, do your floating, work on that suntan and just, enjoy that. Lake life here in Tennessee is kind of, it's a big thing. We have so many bodies of water, and during the summertime it gets so hot. So a lot of people spend time on the water, and if you become a Tennessean, that might be something that you like to do as well. So, like I said, you can take it for a test drive, just renting a pontoon. And just about like most marinas, if you just Google like marinas in, East Tennessee, find the body of water closest to you. And if you have a good realtor like myself, you can ask them, and we could, give you some advice on that. But yeah, just call a marina, figure out, what all they have available, and take the family out. That's a great time. And then speaking of great times, something else that you could do is check, depending on what time of year it is. Now, obviously in the summertime, there's no sporting events going on, but like if you're in the fall time or winter or spring, check and see what sporting events are going on in Knoxville. The Tennessee has been, a great, in fact, they just won an award. I can't remember the exact award, but it's basically like they had the best all-around sports program in the country. So, their men's and women's basketball programs went to the Sweet 16. The baseball team went to Omaha. The women's softball team killed it. They did really good. The men's football team, they went to a New Year's Six Bowl and won. They did outstanding. And man, if you haven't ever been to Neyland, holy cow, it is an experience. I mean, those tickets are expensive, but they're well worth it when you see how much goes into it with the fireworks, with the light shows, just with everything. I mean, it is really a special place. I mean, it's as cool as it gets in college sports, and that's something, that you might want to be involved in as well, especially if you're a sports person, or if your family's into sports. I have one family that's moving here from California. Their son wants to go to Knoxville because they love baseball, and they're real excited about what's going on with the baseball team right now. So go check out a sporting event. That's really fun. Tailgates are awesome, so much fun. And so that's really just kind of a handful of things that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. There's certainly other things you can do, and if you want to talk to someone about it, definitely reach out and just whatever you and your family are into. There's so many opportunities here. Golf, like I said, all the the sporting stuff, all the outdoor stuff, fishing, whatever it is, just reach out to, that's where your local people really, come in handy, because they're going to be able to help give you those better, recommendations and suggestions. Now, let's move on to something that a lot of people stress out about, and rightfully so, because this is a big deal. And this is going to be how to handle, your showings when it comes to, you need to purchase a home, you're hundreds of miles away. What in the heck do you do? What are your options? Let's talk about them right now. Like I said before, I've done this so many times. I've helped such a large amount of people move here from different states. I mean, just here recently, I had someone from Louisiana, someone from Illinois, had someone from North Carolina, and someone from Virginia. I mean, this has just been in the last few months. So, I've seen this play out several different times, and really it comes down to, there's really 3 ways that you can go about handling, this whole showing situation. Okay, so first of all, and this is probably the most popular, but it can also be the most difficult, and that's going to be, you can drive up, you can fly in, stay for a week, and I will clear my schedule. Any good realtor will clear their schedule. You just need to give whoever the person is you're working with a heads up, so that they can make accommodations for you. But this one is basically, you're flying in and you're running and gunning and just looking at everything you can, taking in every, opportunity, and just really weighing your options and hoping that you find something on that trip. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. My lady from Illinois worked out perfectly. I've had other people in the past that have come down several times and it just hasn't worked out, because the problem with that is that it just seems like every time you fly back home or drive back home, that's when the property pops up that you really like. So, it can be difficult, but, we can still make that way happen. Usually that's the most reasonable option for people. But let's check out option number 2, and this is my personal favorite option. I think it sets you up for the most success. It is, however, probably the most expensive, which is the drawback, and that's going to be to get an STR, or a short-term rental. A lot of people do it through Airbnb, but there are other avenues you can go through. And listen, I know it can be unreasonable sometimes, because it is kind of expensive, but it gets you here. So if you have a home to sell, you don't have to worry about that contingency anymore. It gets you here, and it allows you to be able to jump on every opportunity that pops up. I feel like this sets you up so that you have the best buying power, and you have the best access to these homes, right? And so the short-term rental is a great deal. My family from Louisiana, that's what they did, and we were able to look at a whole bunch of houses and really find the one that was best for them and their family. And they didn't feel like they were kind of they didn't feel like they had to buy something because they're only here for a week and they have to get something. They didn't have that feeling. They were a little bit more calm. Okay, so short-term rentals are a really good option. And then this next option is, it's not the most popular, but a lot of people have been doing this, and I've helped a lot of people go this way as well. And that's going to be, buying a property sight unseen. Now, again, I know that sounds awful, like no one's cup of tea, but just follow along with me, because there are some protections, some things that we can do to make sure that this property is going to fit for you. Okay, the first thing is, really vetting that property, right? Let's look at satellite images. Let's look at Google, street views. Let's look at topo maps. Let's look at the crime map. If everything checks out on these 4 things, then what we'll do is I'll set up a virtual tour for you, or your realtor will set up a virtual tour for you. And then you have 2 options there, and I like one a lot more than the other, but your 2 options would be like FaceTime or you could have your agent make you a video. And that's my favorite. I like to make a video on my phone and then just upload it to YouTube and then let you check it out that way, because then you have the ability to go back and watch that whenever you want. And also the quality seems to be a little bit better with the YouTube videos, especially if you don't have good service. A lot of times when you're FaceTiming, it can get a little grainy, and I have people that are like, oh, you're stuck, so that's fine, and I don't care to do it. It's your it's your journey, and however you want that to be handled, you should have you have that say. So with the video tours, and again, this is where having someone that you really trust will come in handy, because a lot of people are worried. They're like, oh, well, you're just going to show me the nice parts of the home. That, for me anyways, that's not what I do. I walk through the home once to turn on all the lights and to make sure that I'm getting a good feel for the house. So I'm looking at the walls for cracks, especially around the windows and doors. I'm looking around the foundation for stair steppers. I'm looking for anything out of the ordinary. How's the floor? Does it feel, a little wobbly? Do you get dizzy walking around? Or there's some humps? I'm looking for all of those things as well, so that I can show them in my video, because, for me personally, it's important that I sell you a good house, not just a house. And also the other thing is, whatever if an agent's not going to show you something, more than likely the inspector's going to pick up on it. So, why not just get that out of the way right in the beginning? And so have someone that you trust to be able to do that for you, and it will help, ease your mind a little bit. So then after you get through, the virtual tour, let's say everything checked out, vetting the property, everything checked out with the virtual tour, then what you do is you're going to make a sight unseen offer. Okay. And now, again, I know that, that's not ideal, but in some situations, that's all you got, especially if something just hit the market that's really nice. You're in, several states over or whatever, and there's no way for you to get here. Sometimes that's the only option you have. But here are a few things that hopefully can help, ease your mind about the property. Okay, one is that we can put a contingency in there for the home inspection. So we can have a home inspector come out, we can put a contingency date of however long you want in there. But we can have a professional come out, look over the property, and give you a very detailed report of everything going on. Also, within that inspection period, you're going to have the ability to fly down and actually view that property. So if you fly down and you view the property, you've got the home inspector there, that's something that can really help, help you, feel better about the property. Now, if the inspection's bad, if there's some things that, that you didn't like in the inspection about the property, well, then you can cancel that and you can move on. The only thing you've lost at this point is, the money you spent on the home inspection. But hopefully at this point, the inspection goes well, and then you feel really good about it and you can move on. Now, another protection we can give you is going to be an appraisal contingency. We can make it contingent on, a non-biased party coming out, giving you, their professional opinion on the price, right? So then, you're not overpaying for a property. Hopefully, maybe you've even got a little equity in it. You never know. And then the third way would be, the third protection we have for you is going to be your financial contingency, right? That's just basically making contingent. So if worst case scenario, you lose your job or something, you can back out of the contract and you're not going to lose anything because you're covered. So those three contingencies, we put in there to really help you. And hopefully, I know it's still not an ideal situation, but hopefully that can at least ease your mind a little bit. And so if it comes down to it, sometimes that's just what you got to do. Just know, everything always works out the way that it's supposed to. And, chances are after all the, the smoke settles and you're moved in, you're going to be really happy, with your decision, with your transition. And, that's going to, put you and your family, in the situation you wanted to be in all along. So just remember that it's all going to be all right. All right, we're gonna take care of you. That's gonna be it for this video, guys. I hope you found it helpful. Like I said, I end up having this conversation with people all the time and explaining the same thing that I just explained in this video. So I wanted to just kind of put that out there for everyone. Like I said, hopefully it's been helpful. Again, thank everyone for reaching out to me. You know, I love helping you guys. And if there's anything I can do for you, just give me a call, text, email, whatever works. But thanks. I'll catch you on the next one.